several years ago when the Venom movie was announced, I was not super excited. I'm kind of the target audience for that film. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I'm a huge fan of comic book movies, and I love the character of Venom. I love the character. I think Carnage is awesome. I think he's one of the best and most underutilized villains in all of Marvel. And I should have been the target audience for that movie, but I didn't care. I think it's disconnect from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the failure of the implementation of that character within the Spider-Man 3 and the Raimi trilogy, kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. So I wasn't really excited for that movie. And when I saw it, I wasn't blown away. I don't think the first Venom movie is that awesome in particular. I think it's got some, funny quips and jokes, and the relationship between Eddie and Venom is well played. I think Tom Hardy is actually really good in it. He nails the physical aspects of the character. But I wasn't blown away by it. I enjoyed it. You could say this: I liked it, but I didn't love it. So when Venom: Let There Be Carnage was announced, I kind of felt the same way. I wasn't super excited about it. I like when you like the first movie, I didn't have a lot of anticipation for this, and so yeah, Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Let me tell you what I thought. Thanks so much for checking out the video. Before we get started, click on that red subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you know whenever I post a new piece of content. Okay, so Venom, Let There Be Carnage. This movie was teased fairly directly after Venom, the first film, because they showed, a credits scene with Cletus Cassidy, played by Woody Harrelson, and then that obviously set up all of the sequel just with that one particular scene. And I think this movie's kind of awesome. I think it's a significant improvement from the original film. I think that Tom Hardy has really, done a good job with this character. He nails the physical aspects of it. He nails the comedic timing. And this movie really, really surprised me. I think while Eddie's an interesting character and the stuff that, all the elements from the first film, his relationship with Anne, his, former fiance, all that stuff is brought forward in this film and works just fine. There's a lot of stuff about this movie that I really do adore. I think Woody Harrelson as Carnage is kind of awesome. I think the way they deal with Carnage himself, just like the extraordinary amount of violence, his arms turning into axes and swords and stabbing everything and throwing, pieces of the symbiote across the room and stabbing people with them from, the other side of the street. Like all that stuff just works really, really, really well. And I think it's a credit and a testament to the work of Andy Serkis, who steps behind the camera to direct this film, that all of that stuff comes together cohesively. Serkis is clearly like one of the masters when it comes to motion capture and has a good understanding of movement and space and blocking and pacing, and so all of that stuff regarding these two symbiote characters, Circus really has nailed down to a T. And I think the action sequences here are all fantastic. Tom Hardy is great. Woody Harrelson is great. And I think I was most surprised by this film regarding the humor. I didn't laugh a lot at the first movie. It felt like it was trying too hard to make me laugh, and the writing, the particular gags and jokes, and the timing in this movie is so much better. I had probably half a dozen instances where I like broke down laughing, which really doesn't happen in these movies. When you've seen one, now granted, this isn't a Marvel movie, but when you've seen one of those types of movies, you kind of feel like you've seen them all. And yeah, I laugh at the Marvel movies, but this movie genuinely got to me, like I said, probably half a dozen times. There were a couple lines that I think were really well delivered. Venom in particular is really funny in this, and it's weird because this, I don't think of comedies when I think of these particular characters. I don't think of Venom as a particular funny character or Carnage as a particularly funny character. And they could have easily come off as like copycats of what the MCU does, where it's like, dramatic moment and then quippy one-liner from one of the main cast, and then curtain. And this movie, And both of these movies handle the humor well, and I think this one in particular does really a bang up job with it. So yeah, Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Finally got around to watching it when it came out on digital today. So big fan of this one. If you haven't seen it, I would say check it out. If you liked and didn't love the first movie like I did, I would definitely check it out. It's very lean. It's about just over an hour and a half, similar runtime to the first movie. This one seemed to move along at a bit faster pace, which is kind of weird to say. I think the first one spent a lot of time setting up the character of Venom, setting up the storyline, and this one really, I think, like moves a lot quicker, even though it does have that kind of same like abrupt type ending. And it's a far cry from something like Avengers, or like Endgame, which is twice as long. And it fits really well in the mold that it's trying to do, and the story it's trying to tell. So yeah, Venom, Let There Be Carnage. If you like comic book movies, definitely check this one out. It's far superior to the first film. So I dug it. Hope you will too. Thanks so much for checking out the video and the review. If you liked it, if you found it helpful, please consider subscribing. You'd also like and share the video. That tells YouTube that, hey, it's worth promoting. And hit me up in the comments. Let me know. Do you think this movie's better than the first one? Do you think it's worse than the first one? What do you think of, like the credit scene at the end? I do keep these spoiler free, so if you can keep it spoiler free in the comments too, that would be fantastic. But where do you think they'll go from here? Do you think it should deserve a sequel? Did you like Woody Harrelson's portrayal? Let me know, and I'll see you next Wednesday, 9 a.m.